Strong, fearless and just a loving nana with soft hands is how Dame Whina Cooper was remembered today at the unveiling of her new statue. Hundreds gathered in the small settlement of Panguru at Waipuna marae to commemorate the late Dame Whina Cooper. Māni Dunlop and videographer Simon Rogers were there.
The Prime Minister, flanked by Hine and Mokapuru, the daughter and son-in-law of Dame Whina, were led down the urupa while being called by a series of karanga to the marae to unveil the statue. The statue depicts the famous photo of Dame Whina and her mokopuna, Māni Cooper. She says today is an emotional day for her and her whānau.
It's a bit of a remembrance of the March of 1975 and it's quite emotional actually. It's quite evoked a lot of what that meant to us in that time and how it's still a continuing journey today. So yeah, it's an amazing time.
Today, many remembered her for leading the land march and for the gains she made in Te Ao Māori. Deputy Prime Minister Winston Peters shared the story about her securing funding for kohanga with Prime Minister at the time, Robert Muldoon.
But see, somewhat was much tougher than most of you. Just one more story. It's 1980 and Whina has been asked by the New Zealand Marae Council and others to be at a meeting with Muldoon about funding kohanga rail. And they wanted her to head it. So in they go, and Whina gives her speech in a dress with all these males around her, and Muldoon looks at her and says, yes. And this is stunning because they thought this would take a long, long time. And so then there was no more purpose in staying. They went out the door and they were about to go down the corridor when Whina couldn't help herself. She said, putting her head through the door, Prime Minister, what would you have said if I asked for 2 million? Good story this, never forget it. And Muldoon said to her, but you didn't, Whina.
But for her moko, it wasn't just her fearlessness and strength that she remembers, but just her nana.
But they're probably not the monumentous stories that, is the character that she is and describes the legacy she's left. I mean, my memories are more of a really warm grandmother with great, beautiful, soft hands and that used to share her glucose lollies with me, that type of thing. But we always knew that she was an important wahine in our family and very, very, forthright and fiery and fearless. So she's left that as a legacy for our women in our family, for sure.
Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern spoke on the pai, a decision carefully thought through by the kaumātua at Waipuna marae. As Te Rarawa leader Hami Piripi says, it was only fitting for a wahine to stand, and there is a need to look at adapting our tikanga.
It was something that we thought long and hard about and decided that it was appropriate because, following in Whina's footsteps would certainly be appropriate. Although Whina was clever enough to be able to use tikanga Māori to justify and validate her approach. And the Prime Minister was well protected and insulated from that as well. And that's nothing wrong with it. I think we have to also re-examine our own tikanga and ask ourselves, is it still appropriate that women shouldn't sit in the front and speak? I don't think it is myself. And I'm an iwi leader. I'm sure other iwi leaders think the same thing. And so we have to progress with the times, keep up with the Joneses.
Jacinda Ardern took the opportunity to call on wahine to fulfil their leadership aspirations and to remind those there to hold the government to account, as Dame Whina Cooper did all those years ago.
We brought Wellington here as an acknowledgement of the expectation Dame Whina had on us and the expectation you all must continue to have of us. And so I'm here to acknowledge that we are not perfection. But so long as we have examples like her, there is hope for all of us. And her examples, they extended far and wide and they're as relevant today as they were at the time that she spoke them.
Following in the footsteps of the leader herself, the annual protest from Waitangi, which left from Te Rerenga Wairua over the weekend, came to pay tribute to the woman they say left them a legacy.
We just want to whakamana te kaupapa and the wonderful history of Hikoi. It started with Whina Cooper. A lot of things came from there, tamatoa, te kawariki, te hikoi, and so we're here to honour the hikoi, we're here to honour the kaupapa today of Whina Cooper.
The hikoi, along with some protesters from Ihumātao, were made to wait until the PM made her way to the statue. It wasn't long after they made their own way onto the marae, and causing some slight disruption with concerns they weren't going to be allowed on, they then became part of the pōwhiri after the statue was unveiled. Hikoi organiser Ruben Taipari says this is the time to confront the government.
And so we were pai with that, and we wanted to bring tautoko the kaupapa tēnā, but we still have differences with the government, and we feel it's inappropriate with the situation that Māori still have, that we don't have our land returned, that we're still having issues around housing and our tino rangatiratanga and our sovereignty. So our choice was to maintain our kaupapa of our hikoi while still upholding and respecting the iwi kāinga of Ngāti Manawa ki Panguru Papata.
Rangatahi from Te Kura Kaupapa o Te Raki Pai Whenua drove up from Auckland and joined the march over the weekend. They will continue on to Waitangi tomorrow. In Te Reo, Manix Waitaiawa Wee says he wants to hold firm to the kaupapa.
Kei konei mātou he kaue te mauri, mai kei prienga ki Waitangi ki au he nui tēnei kaupapa. Nā te me, ko tāna hikoi he hikoi he puritia ki tā mātou whenua me tā mātou mauri he iwi Māori.
A legacy of Dame Whina Cooper, these rangatahi say they will continue. In te tai tokero, ko Māni Dunlop tēnei.